Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese, episode 371. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Zellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. Matt, this week we've got hands-on with the PlayStation 5. Not us, but somebody else. We've got our first look at Pikmin 3 Deluxe Edition, and we'll learn about how Pokemon Go is saving the world. But first, what have you been up to since we last spoke?
Nothing much. I got nothing for you.
Have you joined a cult yet?
Not yet.
Do you want to?
No. We've been watching more spooky things, I guess.
Hit me.
That Hulu thing, Books of Blood, that was fine.
Books of Blood.
It's based on Clive Barker's anthology series. Okay, yeah.
It's like a sequel to Hellraiser, or in that same universe?
I don't know if it's... I think it's just anthology. I don't think it's in the same universe, unless Hellraiser was born out of that. I don't know, the whole Hellraiser.
I'm not up on my Clive Barker. I know Ben's a big fan, but...
Yeah, I mean, neither have I. I realized it was from his book. I was like, oh, interesting. When we were watching it. I would say for an anthology movie, it actually had like a nice little... Usually those background stories feel forced and they're never good. This all kind of married everything together quite well. That's like my biggest check mark. I
will give it a peek. That'll be a good one. The one, I think the best anthology movie is Holidays. It's not particular to just Halloween. It's a horror movie, but it goes through every holiday, and there's something terrible that happens in all of them. If you really for all you Catholics out there, if you really want to be afraid of Christ, just watch the Easter one. People have seen it. They know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll leave it at that. Please go enjoy Holidays. But that one has everything from like goofy, campy stuff to actually genuinely horrifying. Damn. Father's Day is probably my favorite one. Anyway.
Damn. Not to be confused with Thanksgiving, the trailer in Grindhouse, right?
I never saw Grindhouse.
Oh, you never did?
No.
Oh. Yeah,
by the time
that's good.
They came out and whatever, I missed them.
No, but Thanksgiving was one of those trailers they put, I think, between the movies, like in their intermission. And it was like those dumb, campy horror movie trailers they did. They're on YouTube. They're a good laugh.
Yeah, any of that stuff when they're kind of like pastiche, whatever. When they do it right, it's really well done. Well, Matt, we got a little bit of a game to play to start off to make sure your juices are flowing for the podcast. It's a game I like to call What Game Is This?
Okay.
So, give you the rules up front, Matt. Listeners, please play along at home. You can ask me almost anything about the game as long as it's in closed question form, right? So, no open questions. I'm not going to be exploring the depths of humanity here with my responses. I'm going to give you some information as you get stumped. And the only thing I will tell you up front is that the reason we're talking about this game is because it was first released exactly 10 years ago today on October 12th. There it is. So no binging.
I'm not binging. Hands up.
I know. No, I got you. Hand check. So first released 10 years ago, October 12th, 2010. What game is this, Matt?
Oh, God. Sorry, I'm trying to put my frame of reference. So high school. No, college. October.
Don't think too much about... I would say...
Resident Evil 6?
See, you're already trying to guess.
I know. Well, the way you posed it, I figure I throw out my first instinct of a guess.
Fair. That's incorrect.
Okay. Is this cross-platform?
This did eventually come to iPhone and iPad, but originally it was on a single platform, the Nintendo DS.
Oh, man. I'm never going to get this now.
You might.
Is it a Mario game?
It is not a Mario game.
Not in the Mario universe.
It is not Mario Tangent.
Okay. What genre is it?
Adventure? Platformer? Like there's some light platforming, and it is kind of like it's not an adventure game trademark, but it is. You go on an adventure, but it's platforming.
Is it side scrolling 2D?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I don't even know what to ask next. Is there a main character, or do you create your own character?
There's a main character. There is a main character.
Male or female?
Male.
So not Tomb Raider.
No. I probably should have put it. Say Batman?
Yeah.
No, it is not Batman.
When did that Arkham City side-scrolling game come out?
2013.
Oh, damn.
And that would have been 3DS at that point.
No, true.
Yeah.
Side-scrolling DS.
Would you like another hint?
Yeah.
It's a sequel.
It's the original on the DS.
Yes, it is.
Huh. So franchise on DS.
Mm-hmm.
What was side-scrolling in 2010? Ugh, I don't know.
All right, next hint. You can create almost anything.
I'm terrible at these things. I don't know what to ask.
Would you like the average review score based on Giant Bomb user reviews?
Sure, I don't think that's going to help, but sure.
3.8 stars out of 5.
Out of 5, okay. Sorry, that FIFA 21, that 3 came, and I was like, oh shit, bad game. 3.8 out of 5, which means it's one of them. Ooh, who published it?
Warner Brothers. WB Games published this.
The dev?
Fifth Cell, I should say.
I don't know my handheld devs as well as my console devs.
I can hear some listeners screaming because Fifth Cell's got a pretty limited output. I'll give you 2 more hints.
Probably the first time I've heard of them. So,
the sequel to this game, or one of the sequels to this game, was the reason that I finally bought a 3DS.
Oh, it's got to be a Castlevania game, right?
It is not a Castlevania game.
Not.
All right, your final hint. You ready? Unless you have another question.
Approximately how long is the game, or is it like a one? Sorry, let me ask it this way: Is it like a finite story? Is it like a one playthrough? You can kind of see everything.
It is, but there are reasons to go back through it and try different approaches.
Do you? Are you primarily hacking and slashing, or shooting? Is it projectile-based combat or close combat? Or
it's going to go back into the creation aspect of it. You can create almost anything to do the fighting for you.
Oh, man, I have no idea.
All right.
My DS...
I'm just going to tell you what it is.
Just tell me.
Super Scribblenauts.
I would never gotten that.
No?
No. Because, like, I don't think... One, my DS library knowledge is, like, down the dumps because I didn't have a DS until super fucking late into this whole thing with the 3DS. And the Scribblenauts, I know, like, we just talked about it, I feel like, a month ago.
Yeah.
But that's not, like, my first thought when I think of Warner Brothers.
No, I wouldn't expect it to be.
I was, like, trying to think of, like, did Mortal Kombat do something dumb?
I mean, they've done dumb things in the past. They had the kart racer embedded.
Yeah, I
in the
know.
one
I'm
game.
just.
Yeah.
They put out one of those Scorpion games on DS.
Now that I'd play. All right, well, that's been another round of What Game Is This? Maybe we'll check in with that in another week and see if we can stump Matt. The alternative was going to be The Nightmare Before Christmas, something, I forget the subtitle, on Game Boy Advance, released 15 years ago. But it was first released not in the U.S., so I was trying to keep it first release U.S., single platform kind of thing to make it a little more easy. But we stumped Matt.
That's not hard to do. But
Well,
congratulations.
Well, Famitsu was stumped this week when it got hands-on with the PlayStation 5. A reporter from Famitsu got to play Astro's Playroom, and in the report and the write-up talking about Astro's Playroom, it was noted that the confirmation button on the PlayStation 5 was set to X, or cross, and not to circle, as it is traditionally set on a Japanese console. When asked, a Sony Interactive Entertainment public relations person said that this was decided to unify the console globally and eliminate the problem of different operations between the game and the system. Because sometimes developers would be able to, or developers would have one way in the game and the system level has it the opposite. The writer for Famitsu adds that they believe it would be a benefit for developers who are creating games for worldwide release to not have an extra burden to think about when development. How do you feel about this one? You feel like it should have gone the other way?
This is, I feel like the best thing I can think of to put myself in those shoes is the fact that I played Rocket League for about 200 hours with one control scheme, and then just overnight I was like, you know what, I'm going to try something new and have to relearn it. It's possible to relearn, but I just feel like the circle being confirmed is just such part of the heritage of PlayStation in Japan. I feel like when you go back and play Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation 1, circle is confirmed and X is canceled. You have to kind of map your brain back around that. But if you understand, where that game came from, you totally get why it's that way. You just kind of respect it and just get over it.
And that's the those symbols, Japanese in Japan, cross is always cancel, circle is always advance, that kind of thing. And the button positioning of them were done because of the Nintendo PlayStation when that first prototype happened. So it was born of the Super Nintendo controller, or Super Famicom controller, I guess in that case. So yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I guess Japan was the isolated part of it, so the rest of the world was already using X to confirm. Now, I remember in America when we would use triangle to go back on the PS1. I don't know if you remember that, but that was often a lot of the system menu stuff. It was X to confirm and triangle to go back. That we should bring that back. And you know what? Another one, PS3 triangle was often your secret button. So if you were on the cross media bar, you'd hit triangle. That's where your hidden options were or extra things. So we don't have that. I try to hit triangle on PS4 a lot in different spaces and nothing happens the way that it would on a PS3. I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, no, that's kind of all I got on it. It sucks that that they're changing it. I can also, I guess, as a very not the game developer over here, I don't know how hard it was to develop around that either. So maybe it does help them out with worldwide release.
I think it would mean that you would just be, when putting your game out in different territories, you need to make sure that you make that switch for button input. But I don't know what else that would do to the game or, we also, so there's a lot of PS5 news this week. Yasuhiro Otori, the vice president of mechanical design, did a full teardown of the PlayStation 5, disassembling it piece by piece until it was all blown out in that big exploded view on a table. He first shows off changing the stand, and then he just rips the whole thing open piece by piece, while warning at the beginning, don't do this at home.
What was that, laser radiation?
Say it again?
I think laser radiation was part of that disclaimer about not opening the thing.
Yeah.
So that's good stuff. I might want to open it.
Yeah, I want to find out. I might want some of that
I
stuff.
want to touch the liquid metal. Put it on my face.
So I learned before we recorded here that I missed a lot of details on this because I didn't have subtitles, so I just listened to a Japanese dude take this thing apart for 7.5 minutes. Had a great time, thought it looked cool, had no idea what was going on. Was there anything specific about what he said that listeners might want to know?
Nothing that stands out. I know when they got to the liquid metal part, they talked about how that was something they have developed kind of in-house. The way they said it seemed like they developed it in-house, and that was necessary for the cooling that they needed in that area, and it's been tested for over 2 years, so they feel confident in its ability to cool the console part that I think is over the processor, right? I think, or over, I forget where it's over, but
so that we won't run into a red ring situation.
Yeah. So stand by. I think my favorite part of all of this was when he pulled the heatsink out, and it was the size of my fucking face.
Yeah. Well, the whole console itself, like sitting next to him, like it was the majority of dude's torso.
Dude,
where are you putting that thing?
I don't know. That's what I was about to say. I don't know.
The other part too that I was like, oh, like how easily the white shield came off makes me wonder if they are gonna just put out swappable plates that you can buy. Because then I might buy one sooner than later, right? I'm not buying it until it's black, period. But if I can get a black faceplate to swap it out, then
Yeah, well, that was we'll get to it in a second. But there was another thing that Xbox did that you just reminded me of. But yeah, they're doing the same thing there. We have to kind of briefly open up the case a little bit to get the hard drive in. So I'm sure there was a reasoning to do that. But they very much were. I know they said at the beginning, but I think the dude was like, all right, well, this is when you would break your manufacturer's warranty when you started opening shit. Right. Yeah, the little sticker. That point. So, yeah, it's just I think the biggest surprise is how big that is, and they did. That's also one of the facts they said in the subtitles. They gave the measurements in metric units, and I never went back to convert it, but just looking at that thing, it seemed massive, and just pulling out the parts, like the fan, I think was the size of my face. Yeah, the heat sink was bigger than my face.
Yeah, we kind of knew because there were the sleuths of the internet who compared they remember the picture where they looked at a USB port and from that extrapolated how big the actual console must be and then showed the size comparison against other things. And it's by far the largest video game console, home console ever, I think.
Yeah, and I think the wavy nature of it doesn't help you fit it into a tight little spot either.
Yeah, no. It makes it seem slimmer than it is, but it probably, yeah.
I do like the now that we've seen how it clamps on horizontally, I like how it looks. It's going to try to give the illusion that it's floating a little bit.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. It's, yeah. You said that, speaking of the stand, that Xbox had their Atom Boys used games moment or borrowed games moment.
Yeah, so they actually did it twice. The first time was with the stand. They did the classic. It was just two pictures, and they were like Xbox One X, or it was how to change it from vertical to horizontal, and just put two pictures of it, standing up and then on its side.
Yeah.
So got them back there, but then they did it again when they were like, look how easy it is to expand the storage in the Xbox Series X, and they put in that little expansion card.
That's
that
good.
They demoed earlier in the week.
Yeah.
And then this, you have to unscrew your console and put in your new thing. But that is interesting that they use those types of hard drives. Was it the M2? What are the?
You're talking about Xbox?
No. I'm talking PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're using those types of solid-state hard drives instead of the typical boxy ones you get with the SATA cable, I think. Was it M2?
Yeah, is that part of the right? Because they have a list of proprietary SSDs, right? the things that they will work, because they talked about swapping it out and that only certain ones will be compatible to get you the same speed that you would get with whatever they're putting in the box.
Who are you talking to? Or are you talking about PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think all of them would work, but I think they've recommended some to help match speeds.
Yeah.
That was an interesting little engineering feat, I thought.
Yeah. We also, a PlayStation support page surfaced this week, which details the full scope of PlayStation 4 game compatibility on PlayStation 5. Only 10 titles are listed unable to play on PlayStation 5. Looking through that list, the only thing that stood out to me was Shadow Complex Remastered. Everything else seemed like kind of like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it was not, there were no big titles that I was like, oh, whoa, I can't believe that's not going to play. The only caveat that I caught on that support page is this quote here: "This list is subject to change and excludes demos, media, and non-game applications." So my question is PT a demo, and is it safe, or does it die with the PlayStation 4?
It was dead.
You think it's dead?
She's dead.
They talked about transferring from your PlayStation 4 to your PlayStation 5. You can do it via the external drive. You can do it via Wi-Fi transfer. So I would assume that any applications would come across and PT would count as that. PT's not listed as one of the games in that 10.
I think she's dead.
Time will tell. Well, you'll find out in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. We also learned about trophy level changes this week. So trophy levels have been automatically remapped to reflect a new trophy level. The example they gave in the write-up is that if you were level 12 trophies, you would now become something in the low 200s, depending on the number and the grades of trophies you've acquired. So every trophy has a specific weight to it that tallies up to increase your ranking. And now trophy levels are changed, so there's a kind of a ranking between. So now instead of everything going from level 0 to 100 trophy level, it's up to 1,000. So from like 0 to 199 or 299, you are a bronze level, and then silver, and so on. There's new icons that show you when you're close to leveling up to the next color tier or whatever. Where are you at? What you got the hot switch? What did you hit?
I forgot to check the night before, but I am at 317.
I guess, like, yeah. Does it matter?
I don't know, but it'll be.
Do you like being at 317 better than what were you before? 1920?
I had to been around there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's fine if it's more things to, like, see your progression go. And then if, like, I imagine, maybe not right away, but sometime in the future, they might, like, you get the trophy to pop up, and then it might, like, it might, it's one of those things where it gives you the description or whatever, and then the next thing might pop up says, "Congratulations, level 318.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that would be nice.
Just more excuses to have those pop-ups come up and just make you feel good.
I also hope that this change means that on PlayStation 5 trophies are more of a forefront thought and not so baked in the way that they were in PS3. And PS4 was better than PS3 was. Like, I've definitely forgotten about how tough, like, some of that syncing stuff was. But even on PS4, it's not always immediate.
Sync them. That's the problem. It doesn't background sync. You have to open the app or that section of the UI to sync it.
Yes. And I really have come to appreciate, and I know you have too, the Xbox achievement cacophony that happens. If you have multiple devices with the Xbox app, you get an achievement, and man, like all over the house, that you got an achievement.
I'm like half expecting Victoria's Switch to go off too when
anything with a screen and a vague internet connection should be popping off with an announcement that you did something.
Jack Tretton's face popping up all over my apartment. It's fantastic.
And I also hope that this means that there will be more, because some of the stuff I like on Xbox is a little bit more of the tracking that you can do, so you can see, like, how close am I to this trophy, or the other advanced stat tracking stuff. Like, I don't know if this is necessarily trophy related, but on on Xbox, and they don't do it for every game. I feel like it's a developer opt-in kind of thing, but where you can see how much time you spent with a game or random stats. Like, I don't know, like think about like Rocket League or something. Like maybe they do how many shots you've taken on goal. Like some of those stats that are surfaced on an achievement screen level, I think those are far more interesting than I got 30 achievement points because I opened a box in the right room. You know, like I like some of those other weird stats.
Some of the things I like with what Xbox does with that too is like maybe it doesn't maybe equate to this where you can do your weekly rank against your friends list.
Yeah,
but like out of that though, I can see like if you're beating B by 200 points, it's like, oh, what's he been playing? Because it's probably something new on Game Pass, and it's gotten enough of his attention where he got 200 points, and now look to see what your activity has been through the activity feed.
Yeah,
and then I can see what's going on.
Yeah, I like that. Or like, yeah. If you do have a weekend of trophy hunting or something, you get those things on Xbox where it's like, here's the things you're closest to earning, and then you know to jump in and do whatever it is. Final PlayStation story of the week: developers and publishing partners were sent an email with a notification about upcoming changes to the PlayStation Store that will remove the ability to purchase games for PlayStation 3, PSP, and PS Vita from anything other than their respective storefronts. The PSP store has been closed for a few years now, but you'll still be able to buy games for PSP through PS3 and transfer them to it. But yeah, PS3, you're only going to be able to find and buy those games via the PS3 store. Same with Vita, which is a shame because the PS3 and PS Vita stores are awful because they were updated with the Vita store has been awful since like a year after the console, where like you would go to look at a thing and there's no image attached to it. Just a mess. They're removing wish lists, or they're deleting your existing wish list and removing that feature from the web store. And a new store will launch on the web and mobile on October 19th this year. So we should see kind of what that looks like and what the changes are there. I hope that speed is, it's got to be snappy, man. It's got to be snappy. So we'll see.
I don't have high hopes.
The PlayStation Store has been a mess since the very first one, man. The first one was a web page that you would load on your PS3 browser.
That second one was fine. Not the web page.
Yeah, the second one, yeah, you're right. The one before they changed the search to where you had the narrow down the word by its letters. Yeah, that. So we'll find out on October 19th, I guess. Before that, just a few days before the 19th, on October 15th, you'll be able to pre-order Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, which was announced this week, Matt, which is going to include all existing content and also add Combat Pack number 2, which includes 3 new characters: John Rambo, Rain, and Melina finally makes it into the game. So I don't know what people are going to tweet at Ed Boon anymore, but Melina is in the game. Did you watch the trailer for these 3 being added?
No, I did not.
Hella dark, hella cool.
I mean, it's Mortal Kombat, right? Then it's October.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like in a dark forest. It reminded me of the first trailer for Mortal Kombat X, when they had Scorpion and Sub-Zero fighting in the woods with that Wiz Khalifa song playing.
Okay.
But the atmosphere was similar here. So this is November 17th is when Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate is announced. If you buy it on PS4, you already own it, and you upgrade your existing Mortal Kombat 11 to the Ultimate Edition, you get the free upgrade to Next Gen. And all previously released content is included, plus new skins exclusive to this. So new skins, new characters. Mortal Kombat 11.
Still
you think
living.
This is it? You think this is the final?
Nah, Fighter Pack 3 is going to include Waluigi. If Smash won't do it, they will.
I would die. That would be... I would support that. It's hard to imagine Nintendo signing off on it, obviously, but man, if they did, and they just had him come in and just murder with a tennis racket, yeah. I'm for it, man. Put Waluigi in Mortal Kombat.
Start a hashtag.
Yeah. Hashtag upgrade. Hashtag
WA4MK.
Yeah, WA4MK. I like it. It's probably something worse than what we're thinking, but
Probably.
I don't know. I would like to live in that world. Speaking of living in worlds, Matt, you've been living inside of the 30s or something like that, the 20s?
The 30s.
30s? With Mafia Definitive Edition. You spent some time with it this week. How is that game shaping up?
Yeah, so I've been had. I mean, probably my own fault because I did that thing where I saw it was coming and I totally dodged the press, and I don't know much about the first game, but it is not an open world game by its regular core. There is an option to free play from the main menu that will let you drive around Lost Heaven, but no, it is it is a very structured campaign that has gone by chapter, and each chapter is essentially like kind of like a mission, as if you were to drive up to one of the letters in GTA and any of them. But then no, it like stops and it goes to like, it cuts and it says new chapter, and then you are on to like the next thing. And honestly, it's kind of refreshing. I'm in a situation right now where I kind of would rather not have a 20 to 30 hour game, so I'm kind of thankful it turned out to be the way it is. But I could see some disappointment if someone was in my shoes that had no idea that this was the case. So
Was Mafia 3 open world?
Yes, Mafia 3.
Okay, so yeah, I could see where.
And maybe Mafia 2 is when it takes the actual like plunge into it being open world.
Yeah.
But no, the first one it's a very structured campaign, which, like I said, it's refreshing, and it actually, like, one of the problems with open world games is you throw off the pacing when you start to do all these other side quests or get involved in anything else. Like with this, there's a sense of a pace, urgency, and you get character development the way they kind of want it to happen. There's no weird Spider-Man thing where Mary Jane gets mad at me and then I go next door to the hideout and she's back on the phone calling me, telling me intel. So no, it works. I can see the disappointment for, like I said, that not being the case, if you didn't know, but no, it works surprisingly well. This game is also kind of short. I get the general idea that this is like a 10-hour thing and not a 20 to 30-hour thing. I know I just said that, but like it just, even with it being like this linear campaign, it's only about, I'm going to say maybe 10-15 hours at most. And I haven't really looked up the time per se, but just based off the chapter select, when I had to do some troubleshooting with stuff earlier in the week, seeing where I was at then, and where kind of like the end of the chapter select is, and what I played after my troubleshooting, I have to be either just past halfway or like 2/3 into the game at this point, and things are happening, and it, like, for the first time in like my play sessions with it, like I got like the sense of like, oh, I need to come back to see where this ends. I haven't gone back to it since that play session of about 2 or 3 hours, but I'm the itch is there for like the next opportunity that makes sense. I'm back in, so it's heating up. The thing is, like, Mafia, if you've seen a mob movie before, you can probably start to guess some of the tropes. It's not an exact carbon copy of any Robert De Niro mob movie, Goodfellas, anything like that, but you can definitely like kind of take some guesses on where things are going to go. Like, yes, you're going to eat dinner and then you're going to get shot at from the street. What fucking mob movie did not,
right.
Hasn't that happened in, right? So
somebody's going to take a nap with the fishes.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff.
Have they done the cinder block yet?
Not yet, but things. Right, the turf war's begun now. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So
someone's gonna put on their cement boots soon.
So it's it's picked up. I like it. I like the character of Tommy Angelo. The game's built him in a way where you kind of care for him. I think the character development on the other characters is really good. Yeah, they might be a little stereotypical for like mobsters, but I think it works. And surprisingly, like when one of them got into trouble one mission, you kind of were like, shit, we're like, let's get our boy and get him out of here, kind of thing. So it worked somehow. And then the other thing is, like, I think one of the reasons why I keep want to come back to this game, like, because it's not that long and there's not that many, missions compared to something like GTA at this time. Every mission has felt unique. I feel like at some points in a game like GTA or these other open world games, like, you kind of get the same sense of like, all right, well, I got the mission, I'm gonna go kill the guy, and then I'm gonna come back, report it, and be on and do the next mission where I take the car that I've done before and come back. Like, yeah, there's if you zoom out and look at it in its broadest context, yes, essentially you're probably going into a place and shooting it, or you're going to steal a car. But, like, I don't know, I feel like the mechanics they use and the scenarios they're put into make it feel different each time. Like, there's one where you're we have to go into this local politician's house to crack a safe to get evidence that's being held against us, so that way there's less heat on us and we don't have to worry about possible murder charges. Our Don gets this fresh off the boat Italian dude who speaks nothing but Italian. So you're riding there the entire time, and he's just talking to you in Italian. Tommy is like, yeah, you stay put when we get there. I'm going to turn on the radio. And then, like, it's so funny. Like, the radio just keeps going, like, on and off the entire car ride as you're talking to this guy. So, like, it's already kind of setting it up, and, like, this is probably going to go terribly wrong. So you get there, and, like, of course, this politician has, like, this little mini hedge maze area. So, like, you're going through and taking out guards, and then after you take them out, you're, like, yelling. And you're, like, trying to find them. So, like, the game has you like, running around this mansion trying to find the dude. And then, like, there's a miscommunication with the safe because he speaks nothing but Italian and you have nothing but ink. So, like, it ends in a shootout kind of thing where you're trying to escape this place because of cops and other mainly just cops coming in. But, like, yes, essentially, it was a sneaking mission turned into a shootout. But, like, the way it delivered it all, like, I was laughing. I was, like, kind of on the edge of my seat a little bit, and then, like, full-blown action to get out of there. A lot of fun. Is it like the remake of remakes? No, I played the better one back in March or April. But I'm enjoying myself with it, and I'm glad I didn't get my refund, I think, at the end of the day.
Right, yeah, because you had some technical difficulties. You tried to...
I will say I was very lazy in my troubleshooting. I did not want to go back a previous mission, but I just ran the Steam, that file integrity check thing, and it found a corrupt file, corrected it, and it worked just fine after that. So I was just a little lazy. But no, I guess things happen for a reason, and I'm going to see this through. And I should probably be able to talk about the ending for what I can talk about and see how it all wraps up next week.
Well, I'm happy that it feels unique, even though it does rely on so many of those tropes. I think relying on the tropes lends it to, like, a game or a story that has some of those things. It's good because you can be safe in that space and then go wild in other areas. So I'm happy to hear that it's not just... Because I feel like it very easily could have been like, okay, GTA's popular, let's just kind of do one of those, and but this time it's in the 30s. And we don't have the tech to make it open world. So I'm talking about back then when they originally made it, And
the part of you going through the 30s helps a lot with the story too, because, like, you're not just stuck in one period. Like, we've gone through, with the way the game sets up, with you being interviewed by this cop and you kind of going through the events, getting you to why you're having this conversation. Which I still don't know yet, which is it's kind of fun building, like, what the fuck happened? Why are we here? Because you seem like such a loyal mob dude. But, like, you're going through the years, like, the game even does, like, intermezzo chapters where you cut back to the interview with the cop and then you kind of go to, like, the next year. And so, like, I started in 32, the interviews happened in 38, now I'm, like, at 35. And for those that don't know historically, Prohibition is done by 35. So you kind of get to see how you're kind of seeing how the mob kind of, like, went from their racket of bringing in alcohol to the city to how they had to adjust because alcohol became legal again. So because I think of this chapter play, I think you're able to get away with going through the years, and and it just works in this game. I think it's like playing a mom movie almost. But it's like I said, the UI is like open world. It's got the little mini map in the corner. It's got like the little guides on the mini map. It's got like the stuff up top. Like it's very much like something that if you point at this and told someone that didn't know this is GTA, they could probably like say yes. The one thing haven't really noticed, because the game's done a really good job of putting me in different sections of the city. I don't know if like the city is evolving with the times either. Like I haven't noticed if there's been like the buildings got a little bit higher, or if like a row that might be wrecked or something. I did happen to drive by one hotel that I was in a shootout in, and then like the next chapter, or maybe like it was a year later, I happened to drive by the hotel and I heard someone yell, the hotel is back open again, come on in. So like after the bloody fucking massacre that I put in there, like the year open, it was back open. So it was kind of fun to see how your stuff's kind of impacting the world and a little bit, but I haven't paid too much attention. I haven't been in like all these different areas to really pay attention to how much detail they were putting into that.
I appreciate that in a game where you have actions that end up permanently affecting the world, and not where like it's not the main focus of the game. You know what I mean? Like where you do stuff. That's something with Xenoblade Chronicles that's been happening, is there are different colonies that pop up that are trying to build whatever, and as you do things in the story and complete certain missions and discover different areas, you're finding materials that are sent back to those colonies so they can build up and whatever. That's been a fun thing as I keep going through that one.
So
that one,
yeah, where are we at?
I'm almost done. I think last night I hit chapter 14. I'm in the middle of that, and I think there's 17 chapters, so I'm close. I am like 20 minutes shy of the 40-hour mark. The story for this is the main drive, because like I said a while back, the combat is kind of straightforward. I really have not, and I did go back at this point. I know a couple weeks ago I talked about how I needed to go back through different areas and try and find new moves or learn to get the books for each character to learn their new moves. I feel like I've done that in every place that I can, and the characters just still kind of have the same finite. Like you hit a point where you have all like a pool to choose from, but like you really do need to work and complement each character with one another. So way early on, I talked about the way that you'd stack attacks. So a pink attack leads to a green attack, which leads to a yellow attack. And those do, like, the green attack has its effect after a pink attack has been successful, and the yellow after the green. And you can't, like, I've had character combinations where, like, in one character, I can have maybe a pink and a yellow, but I've never had one where I can have all three of those in one, where I can just keep using my same playable character to do each of those things. I very much need to wait on the other AI characters to do their thing and kick it back to me to do the other. So you really do need to learn how each of those moves complement each other and make sure that your party is made up of characters that complement each other well. And it's fine, but it's not anything. You kind of get to a point where, okay, this is what works for me, and I'm going to get through the combat, and that's it. There's definitely been, like, now that the story's gone on, now I feel like I have the full width of the party. Like, I have every party member I'm going to have for the duration of the game, unless someone dies, which I'm sure it will happen. But I'm not really... There's, like, story beats that separate the characters and things that force you to play other characters. So that's been nice to make sure that, like, you're not just, okay, I'm just going to play as Shulk and have Rain and Charlotte in my party. You know what I mean? Like they do force it so that you get other characters in, and those other characters have different moves that you kind of need to use in certain cases. I think I talked about it before, but there's spots where Shulk's weapon won't work against whatever. And there was one boss fight I just did in one of the recent chapters this week where I had the strongest weapons equipped for my other characters, and it actually was the wrong move to have the strongest weapons. I needed to go and find weapons that were effective against this type of enemy that were actually, you know, numbers-wise, way less powerful than what I was using, but because of the type of enemy I was fighting, they were way more effective. But by the end, as I'm rounding the corner here in the final like stretch of this, I feel like I've gone on the same journey with the characters, which is I think rare in a game. Like I think a JRPG can be good at that, but I think JRPGs are often so big that you get lost in the minutia outside of it. And in that way, I feel this one kind of was successful and not successful, because I did feel like I was on a super linear path for the last, I don't know how long. Like it's really been the middle chunk of this game was going through these areas, meeting these different species or races in the world. And that kind of it. Like there's a big emphasis at the beginning to make sure that you're talking to people, that you're trading with people, that you're helping to build, like I said, build up those colonies and things like that, finding things for them. In the middle of that, it's all still there because now I'm going back through it and just kind of backtracking and fast traveling to places and like, oh, I didn't talk to any of these people. Let me go do that. But it was never like pushed by the middle. So it was very much just like I'm following a yellow line on a map until I get to the next red flag for the story beat to kick off, and then whatever. If I need to go back and grind a little bit, maybe I would do that here and there, but generally I was just push forward. And in doing so, you do get through the story a lot faster than maybe you would otherwise. And with that, I feel like I've learned a lot about Shulk, and I really appreciate, because I've only ever known Shulk as the dude who you can take his shirt off in Smash Brothers, right? Like as most people. But he is, at first he seems like a very stereotypical hero character, right? Like, I'm going to do what's right, and I'm going to stop the bad guy. In the face of evil, I will triumph and witness the true power of the Monado. But Shulk, as we go on through this game, is this character who's just like pure heart. And he's got so much empathy for other, not even people, because they're not all people, but other living things he's empathetic toward, where there are like, I think I talked about it before, but there's like a big attack that happens on his hometown at the beginning of the game that kind of sets off as the catalyst for why he wants to go on this journey to stop the bad guys. And then there's some stuff that happens along the way, and I won't spoil, but like there's stuff that happens where Shulk learns that like the enemy's not maybe the enemy and that kind of stuff. And he has every right and reason to be vengeful and just murder, because of what happened once he does catch up. And he, at every opportunity, has been like, wait, no, it doesn't solve anything. We're not going to do this. And the other people that are in the party with him are like, Shulk, this is the chance, dude. Like, you're not going to do it. Kill him. And it's like, wait, no, we shouldn't do that because here's why. I don't know. And there's a lot of complicated things with the story in this where I don't want to say too much and spoil things for people who have been like on the edge of maybe checking this out, but the idea that the enemy is not the enemy, like keep that in mind. Like there's a lot of layers to this that are really cool. And even as I'm like, I think by the midway point, like I know what the rest of the story is going to be. They keep adding more and more surprises as I go through, which is cool. That it's, because I feel like certain games you kind of get, I think Final Fantasy VII did this really well this year too, where playing through that story for the first time, or at least the first chunk of that story, like you think you kind of know what's going on, but as you keep going, like there's more stuff added. And I feel like not a lot of games do that anymore narratively. They kind of hit their peak and then everything else is just like, okay, let's just close all these threads as we wind down. But this one is like a chapter ends, closing a thread and opening two more,
I think honestly, I think the video game medium is starting to catch back up to that, right? Because you think about like The Last of Us Part 2 this year, and I'm like, if The Witcher, if Cyberpunk 2077 is anything like The Witcher 3, like I think you're going to start to get like the next evolution of that there. So like I am very excited for the next evolution of games, not just because of the consoles, but because I feel like stories are finally hitting their stride in some of these bigger games that aren't these little indie story focused walk-in simulators, right? So yeah, like it's cool to hear that. And it's funny, like you talk about like you still care about the characters despite like the large open world. It's like exactly what I went against, or what I said against large open worlds with Mafia. So like the fact that I can pull it off in a way for you to be so like caring about the characters works, or like it's nice to see that worked out for them. Yeah. I'm really enjoying it. It's been like, I'll play a couple hours
after work or before bed. But it's good, and I'm still impressed with how well it runs on Switch and in handheld dock. Like, it doesn't matter; it's just a solid game all around. As I get close to the end, though, I don't think I'm going to be able to climb into a mech in this one. There's definitely a lot of people who end up inside of machines. I don't think I'm going to be one of them, or maybe that's the big twist at the end. But like, I know Xenoblade Chronicles X, like, you get into a mech and you can fly around and pilot and stuff. I don't think that's in here, which is kind of a bummer. But that's my question before we go into our big question of the week. But what do I play next? I'm not jumping immediately. Like, I'm not going to roll credits and then go drop money on the next thing. But what do you think? Do I do the direct? So, okay. Xenoblade Chronicles came out in like 2009, something like that. Xenoblade Chronicles X was 2015, and Chronicles 2 was 2017. Chronicles X is much more combat focused, lighter story, and the side quests seem like they're a pain. Chronicles 2 was more complicated combat than Chronicles 1, but went back to have a deeper, more rich story, and that's why they gave it the definitive 2 at the end of it. Or I could go all the way back to PS1 and play Xenogears, which started all of this stuff. What are you thinking? What's your vote? Play it in release order?
I think you don't play Chronicles 1, because you just said that
Chronicles X?
Yeah, I don't think you play that, because you just said, like, you're kind of more so in it now for the story. You said the combat's meh.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, like, the fact that you just said, story light, maybe compared, and it's more combat focused with deeper systems, maybe you would get the richer combat you want, but I don't think it's worth it. So my vote is depending on where you want to go. Do you want to go more modern, or you want to go back to the past? I would vote go more modern, because you're about to go back to the past with Nier.
Well, I think the other thing too is the way that things are going with the Nintendo Switch. It's only a matter of time before Xenoblade Chronicles X has been ported and probably streamlined a little bit and brought from the Wii U to the Switch. Now, I know the sudden realization hitting you that Xenoblade Chronicles X is a Wii U game is probably going to influence your decision even stronger.
All right, I made my vote.
Well, Matt, why don't we make your move in answering our ongoing question? Who would win in a fight? Actually, before that, I'll just say Xenoblade Chronicles, I should have that done before next episode, and then I can kind of put that to bed. And I'm excited not to leave it behind, but I'm excited because I bought that Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, and it's been sitting there, but I don't want to put any time into that because I feel like anytime I'm not spending with Xenoblade is just me slipping further from that game, and I felt that in the last couple of weeks where I was like playing it less. But so I'm kind of just like barreling toward the end here. So yeah. Who would win in a fight is our ongoing segment where we've put together a list of video games top villains, and every week Matt decides who would win in a one-on-one fight between the two. Matt, we are down to the final 2 rounds of our quarterfinals. I'm going to ask you 1 or 2.
1.
Matt, who would win in a fight between the New York Yankees and Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII?
So when we go back to the New York Yankees win, how many weeks ago, I brought in the fact that they could be an army. They're the perfect army. You got your archers who can throw fastballs. You got your infantry who will beat the shit out of you with some bats. And then you could have, maybe the paranormal, the ghost of the Yankees, the dead ones. Here's the problems. Right. Sephiroth has the ghost element. Quite good with the sword. And, he has magic to deal with the long-range stuff. I hate to bring down the New York Yankees just like they did last night, breaking kayfabe, like they lost to the Tampa Bay Rays in the ALDS in Game 5.
Sure.
But I think Sephiroth, this is a clean victory with a lot of decapitations.
Interesting. Okay. Clean and easy.
Clean. This is,
Sephiroth is the clear winner.
The ghost part, the paranormal part was, I think, pushing the New York Yankees through that first round. Sephiroth,
but he can combat that, so there's no
you don't know, you don't even know the true power of Sephiroth yet.
Does anyone?
Those that may have completed Final Fantasy VII.
All right, I guess so. Well, Matt, next week we've got one final decision to make, and then we are in our semifinals. We are getting close here to the top of the list. Very few remain. We'll do a little review of that next week, so stay tuned. Right now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with some Pikmin 3 impressions after this. Matt, this week, Nintendo showed off Pikmin 3 Deluxe along with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity on a little Nintendo Treehouse Live. And after following the Pikmin 3 demo, announced that a demo of the game would be made available on Nintendo Switch. So listeners, you can go download it now and try it for yourself if you haven't played the Wii U, one of the Wii U's best games. With the demo, when you complete it, you unlock Spicy Mode, which is a harder difficulty for the full game, and your save progress carries over. So whatever you do here, you don't have to do again in a couple of weeks should you buy the game. I jumped it, so I know we both played this. I want to hear your experience as a first-timer, but I will say, as someone who played the original one twice, maybe? Or I know I beat it, but I started it a second time because they added the touchscreen controls in the Wii U after the fact, and I wanted to see what those look like. It is just Pikmin 3, which is not a bad thing, but I think Nintendo has done a lot of these ports of old games to the Switch, and I think a lot of them I've not bought because I already played them on Wii U. And this is one where I'm playing it and it's just the game, which is great because that game is great and fantastic, and if you haven't played it, you should play it. I'll say that minor differences from my end, I noticed that the game looks sharp. Not that it looked bad on Wii U, but I can tell that there's definitely been a little bit of work done to make it look cleaner. I felt the HD rumble in the Switch controller. It felt and I think I was wrong about this, it felt like when the text was popping up on screen to start the day, that the HD rumble was typing from left to right of the controller. I think it was actually just the whole thing was HD rumble. It wasn't spatial, but it definitely you felt it coming to life in your fingers, which was cool. But it's Pikmin 3. It looks really good. It plays really well. I think it works well. It always worked well with the controller. I think the one minor difference is the Wii U, you had the map down on the screen and you could, look between the two, or you could press the one button and put everything right on the Wii U gamepad, which is honestly how I played a lot of it back when it came out, because I would watch TV and then mirror to the gamepad. But we'll talk about a couple of things in a few minutes, but what was your experience with it generally?
Dude, I like Pikmin.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with it. I was a little taken aback when it wasn't Alamar. It was a group of characters. I don't remember. Charlie, Brittany,
and Alf.
Alf's the one who's in peril right now, right?
Alf's the blue-haired one. Charlie's the one who you start off with, and he's kind of...
Oh, and then he gets something's around. No, it's from afar, Pikmin's just been this weird thing where you throw weird colors at things and then pick up soda cans and what?
Yeah.
But I finally played it for the first time, and it's kind of clicked. I do like it a lot, actually. And I always my fear, and this is what happens when you look at games and screens and gameplay videos, something that it's 3 hours in, but you see all these different color Pikmin. You see well, in this game, unless you have 100, I don't know what past games let you have, but you see all these Pikmin running around, you see these being thrown, some of them dashing, and it's like, how the hell are you controlling all this? But like,
Right.
it's actually pretty easy to manage the chaos. And
Yeah.
as you get better, like you're gonna figure out better ways to tactfully do it. Like I like the whole idea of I don't know if this was introduced in this game or in 2, but like you have your squad mates where you can use them to control while you're doing something else with the other one. You can go back and forth. Like
that was a big thing in this one, and it's so welcomed because you get to these levels where because the thing with Pikmin, if someone hasn't played it, like there's a ticking timer. There is a clock running, represented by the sun timeline. But as soon as sun sets, the bad monsters come out and they eat everything. So you need to get what you're doing done before that happens. And the fact that you can run 2 squads at once now lets you manage things so much better, especially because a lot of Pikmin is waiting for the Pikmin to carry the thing to where they're going. And you can add more Pikmin to, the squad to carry to speed it up.
Get them to drink the good juice. The good juices, bloom a flower.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The little, you crack the egg open and but even still, like it was nice. Like I forgot about that in this one because I most recently played Pikmin 1, the Wii version of it that lets you use like pointer controls. And I forgot how good this one plays because going back to that first one, it's still like it's an 18-year-old game, you know what I mean, or 19 years old almost, and it feels it. This one is so fresh, and there's just so much to appreciate. Like this is subtle, but like the fact that your cursor changes color to match the color of Pikmin you have lined up to throw was not in the originals, and it's such a welcome thing in Pikmin 3 because it's like immediately, like especially in the heat of a battle. As you'll get, I didn't finish the demo. You finished it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they did any like crazy boss battles or anything where like
they did the first one.
Was there like a reliance on specific Pikmin type in that?
Yes, you had to switch. You had to crack the hard shell with the rock and then throw the red ones on to do the damage.
And that's something where like in the heat of the moment, like you do not want to throw a red Pikmin into something that's electrified. You don't want to throw a yellow Pikmin into water, right? Like all of those things matter. And I like that this lets you know immediately. Like there's so many little quality of life things that were added in this one. But I don't know if did you try motion control or pointer control?
No, I played off the Pro controller on the big TV.
They were on the Nintendo Treehouse Live, they used the motion controls, and I forgot about that. The pointer control is actually really well done in this because it's very easy to just kind of like quickly point where you want to go. I think the lock-on system with the controller works well too.
I was using that a lot. That was a good little crutch, yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing to talk about here is obviously the fruit. Did you rotate the fruit?
I rotated some of the fruit, yes.
God, how good is that fruit?
It's a good fruit.
It's such. Oh
I like the names of all this stuff too. Like a lemon's just not a lemon. It's like no, the lime was like a zest thing.
Yeah, zest. The lemon was sour face maker or something like that.
And then like the dragon fruit was like fire breathing nectar or something like that. It was like all right.
The strawberry was like sunseed. Yeah, they're all really good. I miss Miiverse more than ever seeing the fruit because that was the thing, man. You would just go to Miiverse and it would just be people's fruit pick. Post your fruit picks. I've been missing a lot of the stuff. We talked last week about weird Nintendo and some of the stuff, but like, man, the Switch is so bare bones compared to what the Wii U and 3DS had in that regard. Like Miiverse was so cool for the time. Like we got to delete Twitter and just have Miiverse. I think that's the way to do it.
I don't know. No, because then all the assholes got to come and vent somewhere.
Well, we'll put them in the space for like, well, they'll be hanging out in like specific game things, and they won't be, you know what I mean? They'll stay in their little hole. Probably.
I don't know. It depends what game. Depends what game.
So the new things that are in this bingo battle and side story. Bingo battle is a race to fill your bingo cards. You're each given a 4x4 bingo card that has fruits or objects that are found within the world, and it's head to head. So if you and I played, we'd have a bingo card of randomized items. The first one to fill a line wins. and there's little things you can do throughout. So if you find cherries give you a free item spin on the item wheel. And actually, I think this was added as DLC for the last one that I never went back and played. So this might not be new, but the cherries give you a random item that you can then use to kind of screw over your opponent. So example they showed in the Treehouse Live was one of them was pretty behind in terms of like item collection. The other guy was like pretty close to winning, and the dude spins the cherry wheel and gets this bomb that just falls down, kills every Pikmin on the screen except for one. And like when you're ahead like that, to have to like go back and go hatch new Pikmin, like it all takes time, and it gave that guy enough of an advantage to catch up and win. Side story are side missions with Olimar and Louie. Louie was introduced in the second game, but Olimar obviously the protagonist to the first and second. And you get to connect the gap story-wise between the second and third games. And then the thing I noticed that I think is actually legit new in this is badges, which were little in-game achievements just to mark your progress of things you've completed. You survived a day on the planet, you've collected your first fruit. Those things were popping up as I was playing along, and I think those are new. And my intent was to play the Pikmin 3 on Wii U just to compare a little bit side by side right after, but I rolled right into Xenoblade, so I didn't actually.
As you should.
Yeah.
Turn on the Wii U. There's no reason to. Everything is now on Switch.
Not everything, dude. There's still Virtual Console. There's a lot to still be discovered.
Virtual Console's not coming, so you gotta let that go.
No, I'm still buying games on Wii U is my point. Here I am, 2020, buying games on the Wii U like a
Virtual
cool
Console
guy.
games on the Wii U, though.
There's good stuff. Honestly, all the Wii stuff that hasn't come over yet. There's some GBA stuff, N64. There's some pockets.
What I'm saying is you're not buying any Wii U games for the Wii U. You're buying the old shit that you can't get on the Switch.
I'm thinking I got to get through some other stuff first, but the one thing I've been itching for is I'm ready for another Zelda, so I might grab Twilight Princess HD and give that a proper shake, because I haven't played Twilight Princess since November of 2006.
That's a Wii game, not a Wii U game.
But the Wii U one lets you play without motion control and...
Oh, I didn't know they re-released on the Wii U.
Oh, yeah, they did full
okay.
HD.
I didn't even know they did that.
So that I might do. I've been craving that lately. But yeah, anyway, Pikmin 3 Deluxe Demo, are you still buying it? That's the thing I was thinking about last night. Like, as I played it, I was...
Probably.
Yeah?
Yeah, probably. No, I was...
Good.
It was fun. Like, it's something... There's this weird charm of, like, having 10 rock Pikmin... carry this cell phone. Like, after that boss fight, I mean, this is a demo, so I feel like I could talk about it. Like, it's this, like, centipede thing, this little mauler, like, it's like a pincher kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, like, after you kill it, so, like, the dragon fruit drops, this cell phone comes out of this, like, centipede's mouth, and then there's the carcass. So there was something to these Pikmin carrying this large-ass dragon fruit, this cell phone that's like the size of this centipede thing, and then just the centipede carcass, and you're just walking back with them. There's just something that I was like, I was laughing. I was like, this is so ridiculous. Look at this. There's just an army of these little colored things carrying the most obscure objects.
The first one had Duracell like tie-ins. You actually had like Duracell batteries you'd carry, but yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in this one you end up picking up and carrying back. Like, this one, it's all about... Everything's always about rebuilding the ship because the ship's crashed or whatever, but...
I will say there are some not friendly mat enemies in this. I've already seen some shit.
What do we got here? You talking about the little spiders with rocks for backs?
Yeah, I got those, and then those little boys that are leaves that like pop up when you get near them. Wasn't expecting that.
Right, yeah. Those... I mean, they're easy
There's
little tiny arrows that kind of cue you to that stuff. They're subtle, but
yeah, it wasn't the jump scare, but you know, they're little fast crawlers. I was like, no, I don't like that.
I'm excited you got to play Pikmin 3. It's legitimately one of my favorite games Nintendo's made. So I hope it leads to a Pikmin 4. But yeah, even playing the demo and remembering it, I'm like, I kind of want to buy it again. Like I know last week I said I was thinking about, maybe I'll skip it because I already played it a bunch, but it felt good going back to that world.
Having the save progress definitely helps a lot because I would not have wanted to replay that again.
No, yeah. That was the thing that stalled me on downloading the demo, because I was not going to otherwise. But yeah, if you have a Switch and you've never played Pikmin, or you're ready for Pikmin, download that demo, give it a shot.
Yeah, you get a good dose of it too. You get a lot of the core mechanics, and then a little bit more.
Yeah, and you can play most of the other stuff. You can't play Bingo Battle, I don't think, until the main thing, but you can start on the side stories.
Yeah, there was some stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This Tuesday, Matt, from tomorrow until next Tuesday, Nintendo Switch Online members can play a full trial of Overwatch for free. I think this might be the first time Nintendo's done a third-party game trial on Switch. I know they've done trials for, like, you can play Pokken, you can play Mario Tennis for free this weekend or whatever, but I think this is the first time there's been a third-party one. Which makes me wonder, do you think that this is a tip of the hand that Tracer might end up in Smash?
No, I think it's a tip of the hand that this Overwatch port has failed miserably.
And Activision's putting money in to try and get...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense, right? Like, I know there hasn't been a lot of chatter about Overwatch 2 lately, but, like, that's coming around the corner. You know, I feel like this might need some crossplay here soon. Maybe not, maybe not, because with Overwatch 2 being backwards compatible, that kind of stuff. That's a weird thing, but I think this is more of the sales that got us to this point, not so much Tracer. Tracer would make a lot of sense. I think she would be actually a really good Smash character, but I not yet.
Do you think there's another Overwatch or Blizzard character who would make more sense?
Be fucking rad. We had Diablo.
That would be rad. That would be super rad. I know there's another Activision character who might make sense.
I'm done. I'm done predicting it.
I know.
It's not about time anymore.
But yeah, I feel like Blizzard has been in the news a lot lately. We had a couple weeks back, the new studio from ex-Blizzard folk who were seemingly fed up with the state of things at Activision Blizzard, and now we learned this week that Activision Blizzard is shutting down a long-standing arm of Blizzard in Versailles. This is a majority of the staff worked on marketing, customer support, and localization of games. Bloomberg reports that the company planned to relocate half of the office to London, but with the combination of Brexit and coronavirus, Activision Blizzard has changed the decision and instead will be closing the studio. The staff was informed last week that they will learn more next week about the future of their jobs. Which
sucks.
It sucks, and it always sucks when you hear things like we talked about back in June, where Activision's reporting record high sales of stuff like, Call of Duty and the Warzone stuff, and the amount of money that company's bringing in, and then you hear stuff like this, which I know that we don't know all the details. We never know all the details. Just because we're whatever, it costs money to run things. I get that, but also I look at the human side, and I look at what are the people at the top getting paid in bonuses still. That's the part that that never adds up quite well with me.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Call of Duty was the main culprit of bringing in all that money, but like this could have been more of a Blizzard team that was working on something small and they couldn't get off the ground. So it doesn't make sense that you kind of spread that wealth of the Call of Duty money, but at the same time, like you said, how much is the CEO going to get in a bonus this year? How much is the CFO? Yeah. Even half that money in bonuses probably could have employed this studio for another at least 6 months or so, probably.
Yeah, and maybe that says that there's a lot of stuff internally at Blizzard that's just not shaking out the way that they thought it would. I mean, we know that Diablo 4, when it was announced with no release date. And then the Gears of War guy, Rod Ferguson, was brought in from Gears to go fix Diablo. We heard now, about that other Blizzard studio, or the ex-Blizzard studio opening up. After this project was canceled, this project was moved and turned into this. Since there's a lot of stuff changing internally there, which I'm not sure how that's all going to shake out.
Yeah, and then also I don't know how much is going to hurt their record, but and not to make this a Call of Duty segment, but Season 6 has not gone off to the best of starts in terms of the bugs department. Yeah. There's been all kinds of issues with that game, and the I've seen it, not personally, but spectating other people, the rendering glitch again.
Oh,
where
cool.
it makes it somewhat unplayable
Control
on PC.
2. Yeah, fun.
So, maybe these next-gen consoles might be coming in time for me to play some Warzone in 4K.
Yeah, if the PC thing keeps going up.
So, So, I mean, like I said, it's tough to develop during all this if you're at home. But that's something that's happening. But I feel like, this ever since I didn't have there was massive layoffs at Activision, right?
Yeah, it's like 18 months ago.
Yeah, I feel like ever since then, nothing has gone right.
No, the only thing that's gone right is Call of Duty, but
that's Call of Duty.
That wealth needs to be distributed in other spots, I think, to support other projects and things like that. I think that, we saw Bungie be able to get out of that and get themselves out of that annualization of things, although they're still kind of in a similar structure of release timing. But, I think that the fact that Blizzard does not have some sort of annualized thing like that in the way that Activision has been used to publishing, I think has been more and more of a struggle in that regard. And I think that there's, I don't know. I don't know how that business is run. Businesses are all different, but I think that the way that they look at Blizzard internally has not done right by what Blizzard could be for a long time. And again, like we talked about when we heard that other studio opened up, Blizzard's not the same Blizzard that it was. So, well, and some positive news on the other side of current situation, Pokemon Go. Specifically, the developer Niantic Labs announced the Local Business Recovery Initiative nomination, which allowed community members playing Pokemon Go to nominate their favorite local businesses. Niantic is committed to supporting 1,000 of the nominated businesses with complimentary promotion in Pokemon Go for 1 year. So this gave players the opportunity to nominate their favorite local businesses that maybe are suffering, or whether they are or they aren't, that just need a boost. So, Niantic is going through nominations, reviewing them all, to then give people free in-game promotion to drive players towards those spots that will end up, hopefully supporting business-wise. The list didn't detail anything specifically. They just said that ice cream shops, arcades, bookstores, restaurants, bakeries, museums, and more have been nominated from across the globe, or at least the U.S., which I thought was neat. What's the state of Pokemon Go? Have you checked in with that at all?
Nah.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it in a long time.
I really haven't talked to anyone at work about it either.
Does it seem like people are still checking in with it, from your observation, or?
I mean, the people that I work with who play, I'm most definitely sure are still playing it.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of local businesses, I played one more thing this week that I wanted to keep the DS train of bizarre video games continuing. So I checked out Oendan. Originally only released in Japan. It got a sequel that we had in America called Elite Beat Agents. But its predecessor was only released in Japan, and not unlike me watching the PS5 teardown, I have no idea what's being said in the game, because this does not have English localization. But you travel to local businesses and homes as you are members of Oendan, and they're kind of like these... they come in to help right the wrongs of the world through the power of music. So little kind of 4-panel things will play out where someone will experience a disruption to their day. One of them was a dude cooking, and then everybody in the family, what was he? I don't remember, but everybody in the family interrupting what this little dude's trying to do. So he screams Oendan, you show up, and then a J-pop song plays while you tap along to the rhythm. And if you're successful in your hits, then it makes the story better for the guy, or you save the day kind of thing. The rhythm itself, the gameplay, all the story plays out on the top screen of the DS. The rhythm plays out on the bottom part. And the way it works is you'll see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 laid out, and you need to tap in order numerically, but as circles close in around the numbers, and you have to do it kind of in rhythm. And there's different, it's not always the same beat. Like you have to pay attention to when the circles are closing and stay on beat. The closer you are to the circle getting on the number, the higher score you get for that hit. It's fun. I've always heard people talk about Elite Beat Agents, and specifically like people who love that then went back to Owendon, so I figured I would start there and just work my way up through the series. Because there's 3 games. Only 1 was released in America, the other 2 Japan only. Or maybe the 3rd was also in Europe. I can't remember. So, but it's fun. I think it's short. I think there's only like 15 songs, and each stage seems to be a song. So I failed the second stage a bunch of times, so it's definitely not like the easiest rhythm game to dive into, but I'm having a good time.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's.
I can't find like anything like video related. Like, I don't know,
yeah,
in
it's.
Front of my face.
If you probably have a easier time looking up Elite Beat Agents, and it's probably going to give you the same kind of.
Okay,
least,
I feel yeah, I see it.
Looks
wild. Congratulations on that find,
dude. I'm loving this weird DS life. It's a good time for sure. I found one game that is a convenience store simulator, but it's all in Japanese and really reliant on reading Japanese, which I'm not quite there. So it's a bummer because I really wanted to pretend I worked at a convenience store in Japan. But a couple headlines to run through, Matt. Payday 3 confirmed this week to be in development. The game's currently in its design phase and using Unreal Engine, but it's not specified whether that's 4 or 5. It'd have to be 4 because I don't think 5's released to devs yet. Not until next year.
Yeah.
Hey, Need for
Payday.
Speed.
What up?
Huh?
Say, hey, new Payday. What up?
Yeah. I played that other one for that one night with you guys. It was fun.
I've had that multiple times with that game.
Yeah.
I play it for a night, then never go back to it.
Yeah. So, when Payday 3 drops, I'll play it for a night and then forget about it until they add like some mask to it or something. Do you think this one's going to end up being more service game focused? Because I think Payday 2 came out in the middle of that stuff popping off, but now everything's got a battle pass. Everything's got to have a live service thing to it.
Yeah, I feel like it almost has to. I feel like Payday 2 is kind of even like leaned into that. Like, I don't think like they have a definitive season pass yet, but like
it's pivoted to do
the
that
way
content.
that main menu is, where like the missions pop on and off the screen, and it's a very unique thing they have. And I think it could translate well to like a unique season pass type of deal. It's just I don't know. I hope they do something unique with it, but it's definitely going to go that way. It has to.
Yeah, I would like to see, and maybe they do this in Payday 2, and I'm ignorant, but I would like to see like seasonal content where like. Not that I love the idea of FOMO, but I think that's a way you do that with a Payday is like, hey, this heist is only available for this weekend. That kind of thing. And by doing it, you get this exclusive mask or whatever. They probably already do this stuff in Payday 2, and I'm just talking out of my butt here. But
probably, but I can see that being a thing too. Like,
but you do that to draw events in, right? Like you could probably build a big world lore that is slowly trickled out season over season as a year goes on.
Yeah.
A little bit more you learn, a little bit more, and then do this heist, and then you can look back. Here's my collection of masks from all the seasonal heists. Here's my gold variant that I got by buying whatever. Like, I can see all of that stuff for sure coming through. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is getting a remastered edition on November 6th for PS4, Xbox One, and PC, out on the 13th for Nintendo Switch. All versions supporting crossplay. $39.99 unless you buy it on PC, $29.99. No word on whether or not this comes to EA Play / Xbox Game Pass, but perhaps. Either way, how do you feel about this one? Need for Speed.
Yeah, it's like, how many times can you rehash Hot Pursuit? It says to be like
they'll keep going.
Third, the fourth time Hot Pursuit? Right?
Well, I think what... You're talking about the name? That's the thing. There's been 7 games called Hot Pursuit. Like,
I think that's where I'm getting at. Like, how many times can you use the name Hot Pursuit?
I think they only have a couple of names, and they have those trademarks. Let's just keep rolling them out.
They haven't used Underground in a while. I can tell you that.
Give it, dude. Hold on, 2000. Okay, if they have not figured out what they're doing for Need for Speed next, you know what I mean, like the next brand new proper one, I bet you an Underground remaster's next.
Or if they end up canceling that mobile game, that Syndicate mobile game, it's going to be called Need for Speed Syndicate, and it's going to be about gangs underground.
Oh, territory takeover kind of thing. See, you do it in seasons. You have limited edition, right? Like that's
yeah. You these cool, get this cool design in your car.
Yeah,
and then like for launch month, bring back Manu. Get the hype of the franchise back.
Of course. Everyone's been waiting on Manu. That's see. Speaking of waiting, you won't have to wait long for Cyberpunk 2077. The game has been announced. It has gone gold and launches November 19th. I still don't believe it, but...
I don't believe it either, but it's a good I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I know the scrutiny with that, with the crunch being officially announced and all that stuff, that kind of sucks. At least they're getting paid overtime and all that good stuff, so that works.
Yeah, that's just...
They also get I didn't know, but all CG Projekt Red gets like a bump off, like a proportion of the sales too. So, ultimately, they make a better game. It could work. I don't know. Anyway, that game's going to sell like fucking hot fire, no matter how bad it is at launch. I would be one of those people with that game at launch. I can't believe I'm going to play that game in 2020 after the way 2020 has gone.
I can't either. And like honestly, in a normal week, or in a normal year, this wouldn't have been a news story we even put. But I feel like every time I look through headlines, the word delayed is the headline, right? Like everything says delayed Q1 2021. So the fact that something said it's coming out this year was like, oh yeah, okay, I guess it's a headline we put in, right? Like,
yeah, that's where we're at.
Because if this had been announced this week that it was delayed, probably wouldn't have talked about it. It would have been a passing moment where you would have been.
It would have been a joke,
like, I'm
a little
disappointed.
fucking dig. Unlike this one hit on time, I'm like fucking Cyberpunk again, and then moved on. Yep,
exactly. So that is still scheduled to come out. I mean, crunch is very weird because personally, and I'm not gonna try to speak for an entire industry of people or a company or whatever. I know that for me, creatively, when I've gotten into a flow of things, I will work on it nonstop. And I think we've talked about this in the podcast before. Like learning how to do all the podcast stuff initially, like when I was figuring it all out and whatever, and I started to get into like, oh, I get it. I spent a whole weekend not sleeping, just getting all this stuff up and running. Like the initial website, getting the podcast loaded and everything on iTunes, getting the initial art, all that stuff I did over a weekend, no sleep. It was literally like work on it until I had to go to work. Went to work, came home, worked on it until I had to go to work. Like that just... So I get the push and the drive creatively to want to do that. The part that's not cool is when you turn to another person or body of persons and say, you must do this. That's the part that's not,
Yeah.
And that happens in many different ways, too, as we've learned through the years of different reports of this stuff. Sometimes it is, hey, everybody's working till 8 tonight, period. There's also the bully mentality of like, boy, we're all doing it. Why isn't Matt doing it? You know what I mean? Like, why is Matt slipping out early? He gets to leave at 6 o'clock and we're all out here until 10. He's not a real part of this team. There's that part of it, too, where people would feel obligated to because of what other people are doing. I remember there was reports from Epic years ago when Fortnite was blowing up that people were like shamed for taking vacation, given unlimited vacation time, but then made to feel bad for using any of it, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's complicated. I mean, I'd like to hear from people internal to this studio in this situation and see what the particulars were, if people felt like, no, this is good. Like, we're excited about this. We're excited to get out the door and we don't care that we're working until 10 o'clock at night. Sure. But if this was like a top-down thing, like we heard, I think with like Red Dead 2 and you know what I mean? Like there are definite lines here. I don't know.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Resident Evil getting a reboot in the movie department. We've had a lot of those Paul Anderson movies, and now we're going back to the beginning. Set in 1998, Deadline has confirmed that 6 stars have been announced, and the writer-director Johannes Roberts has shared details on the story. Here's a quote directly from him. With this movie, I really wanted to go back to the original first 2 games and recreate the terrifying, visceral experience I had when I first played them, whilst at the same time telling a grounded human story about a small, dying American town that feels both relatable and relevant to today's audience. Given the cast of Jill Valentine, Claire, and Leon...
I forgot the other 3, but yeah, they got the classics.
Chris, also Wesker, and the guy, Birkin.
Yeah, William Birkin was cast. Yeah.
Given that cast, they're focusing on the first 2 games and everything that happened over those. I don't know. I'm potentially excited for this.
It's weird. I don't know how they're going to pull this off in one movie, but we'll see. Because technically the timeline, the events of the mansion happened that set forth the events in the city. I mean,
if anything, you would do 2 and 3 as a single movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do more of they'll do one's story while showing, because I guess the stuff with like the doctors was happening at the same time as the mansion, and you could probably tie some of I could see that. Either way,
I don't know.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
it's going to be a fun time.
Better than seeing those past Resident Evil movies. But yeah, they got a whole slate of things coming. They got that animated thing that's coming to Netflix, another animated thing that's coming to Netflix. They got an actual game, Village, coming next year.
Yeah, Village is coming. Yeah, I think that the 2 remake, and I think 7 specifically, really kicked everything into the right direction for Resident Evil, and I think Capcom's back on a good path. I think we had a lull in the early 2010s where Japanese development was just not what it was before. We definitely, because Japanese development dominated so much of video games, especially in the PS2 generation, so much came from a handful of studios over there, but we lost that in the HD era, and I think it took until the mid of the last generation to really get going again. But I think Square, Capcom, Sega / Atlas, I think everyone's kind of on their way back, which is exciting for a lot of these old classic franchises. Xbox announced that xCloud is finally going to make its way to iOS. I'm sorry, Xbox didn't announce this. Let me be particular here. Microsoft's Phil Spencer told employees at an all-hands meeting on Wednesday that the company is planning to bring Game Pass to iPhone and iPad targeting 2021 for the potential release of a direct browser-based solution. This is learned by Business Insider. Spencer told employees, "We absolutely will end up on iOS." This is according to 2 people who were a part of the meeting. Microsoft did not comment at the time of publication, and Apple has not yet responded to the request. But this is something that we saw with Amazon's Luna announced last week, that it was going to be coming to platforms via a web version. So this was obviously a good workaround for how to get xCloud onto phones and iPads, while I think the battle for the xCloud native app is still underway. Later on Thursday, The Verge reported that at the same meeting, Spencer said that streaming with Game Pass would come to Windows 10 PCs next year as well, which seemed like an inevitability as well when xCloud was announced. But the priority was getting it out into that app, getting it to work, which is exciting because I have not played my Xbox in a couple weeks now. I've really been Switch focused, and then PS4 with 13 Sentinels, and I was like, I could skip a month or 2 of Game Pass Ultimate. Like, I'm not playing anything right now. I don't need it. Like, I could cancel that for the moment. And then I was like, well, whatever. You know what I mean? It's $15. If I decide on a random day that I want to jump in and play something, it's nice to just have it there. But then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, though? Like, what am I using it for? I'm not getting 2/3 of it because I'm barely on the PC anymore with it. And the other third of it is the xCloud stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of just getting the game library and I'm not accessing that because I've got too much to play in other spots. Maybe I kill it. And then it was like, I see this news story. I'm like, yeah, all right. Again, not that I'm going to have time to play it. So I'll just keep giving them money until I'm dead. But
the Game Pass stuff, I always defend it as like, we've done the math on this a couple times, but like
$120 a year.
So like, I play Gears Tactics and beat that in a month. All right, well, I might not touch it for the next 3 months, but hey, I technically, I guess, pay for Gears.
Right.
So like, all right, I touched Flight Simulator for an hour. All right, well, that's money I didn't have to. At least I know I don't like. That's not my cup of tea right now.
Yeah, it's always like if I were gonna spend $60 4 times in a year, I'm saving money.
Yeah, I keep looking at his car games. Forza came out. I didn't install it yet, but it's going to get installed. I just don't know if I'm going to open it. Just like F1 2020.
Sure.
Or 2019.
Yeah. As you do. Well, Matt, with so many options and so many things available to us, I thought we would go back here as we close out this week's episode and think about various channels that used to be available to us. Of course, I'm talking about the Nintendo Wii as the ongoing mid-2000s nostalgia for Wii and DS continues from me. It's the faraway future of the year 2021. Try and imagine it, if you will. Nintendo has called you up, Matt, and said, hey, we need help. We got to redesign the Switch interface. And we have one caveat to this, that they've already figured this part out. They just don't know which direction to go with it. But the channels, the whole layout of the Wii is returning, obviously with some modernization. So you'll be able to have folders. You'll be able to install games different than you could have back on the Wii as well with Virtual Console stuff. And eventually Wii, what were they called? I don't remember what. I'm not sure. WiiWare.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. So yeah, your games will still be installed with little icons across the board. But we're bringing back the channels, Matt. I don't know if you remember the original channels, but we had the Everybody Votes channel, Check Me Out channel, the Forecast channel, and the News channel. Do you remember all these?
Oh yeah, I remember all these.
Did you? I don't know about you, man. I used to open up the Forecast channel and just spin the globe around a whole bunch. Because you just take the Wii remote, grab it, just spin the thing, watch it spin around, you see all the lights. Oh, man, give me a good spinnable globe. I thought about it. I thought about getting a Switch dev account, figuring out how to make it, and just remake the Forecast channel and put it out as a free game for Switch, just for people to enjoy. I promise you, if Nintendo tomorrow said, hey, we're bringing back in a heartbeat, I would just, every morning I'd wake up and turn on my Switch and spin that globe. Anyway, in addition to these 4 channels, what channel are you going to create to help keep the Switch fresh?
You go first on this one.
Oh, man. I don't even know. I feel like it needs to be I feel like what we need...
I have the laziest answer.
Are you going to say a streaming app, just put Twitch on it?
No.
I feel like Forecast and News kind of cover whatever you need in that regard. The Check Me Out, of course, was like a fashion show for your Miis. I think that's important. I think we need that. We need to see each other's Miis and be able to download
the Miis.
them.
Yeah. You got Snoop Dogg and Michael Jackson playing baseball and Wii Sports. It's awesome.
Exactly. I think the Everybody Votes channel was so cool, and like we'd later see some similar stuff in Miitomo. But like, I used to love coming home from school, opening up the Everybody Votes channel, and seeing what today's thing was. Like that was the best thing in the world. Boy, it's got to be like, I don't think we need another service based one like the Forecast or News. I think those are good. That kind of hits what you need. They later did like the Nintendo channel that gave you just Nintendo news, but I think what I would do is maybe amp the News channel up so that you can filter what types of news you want, right? So I think it'd have to be another weird one like Everybody Votes or Check Me Out. That's hard. I posed the question but did not have an answer for this. So I don't. What's your softball answer?
I thought about like the social aspect of it, because you got, when you have the default apps, I immediately think of like, all right, well, what apps do I have on my phone?
Okay.
Where do I go to a lot here? And then the social aspect, like the Twitters and the Twitches and the Reddits all come up. I'm like, Nintendo's not gonna, they're not gonna want Reddit and all that garbage on there. So now I was like, man, what if there was a place to, go into these channels with their own games, and you could post things, and wow, maybe we could bring some modern features to the Switch finally, like party chat. And, maybe the party chat can run in the background. So then I came up with the name, Miiverse.
Whoa,
then I scratched
dude.
it out. I scratched it out. Because there's no Mii's anymore. I did Switchverse.
Oh. Because everybody has a Switch for a hat?
Yeah, sure. Yep. And just by joining, you get the free Zelda Switch shirt for your Mii.
I like that. I like that. Man, I would be really okay if we had another Miiverse as a full channel.
Like, when you have the channels that you have, like, I was just thinking, like, all right, well, you can download the avatars from Check Me Out. Like, everybody votes channel was like a weird thing, but like you said, it was interesting to check in with every once in a while and see what the question was.
Yeah.
But no, like, we are hurting for like a social thing. Like, can you even send a message to someone directly?
No.
Like,
which, the fact that I spent part of my week this week changing my privacy settings on PlayStation finally, so I stopped getting porn ads in my...
those are the best.
I know, but I was tired. Here's the problem with it. The problem with the porn ads on PlayStation is that I don't have the stupid messages app on any of my devices, because who cares about sending messages on PlayStation? So I would get a notification that wouldn't go away on the mobile apps until I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm tired of getting these. You have a free account to look at hot pics. Done. But yeah, I mean, thinking back to playing Pikmin this week, thinking about Miiverse, I think last week we talked about the Mario 35 and how I kind of missed Miiverse and the stamps you would get in that regard. Like, there's a lot of stuff that Miiverse did really well, and I know that it was probably a moderation nightmare to keep that stuff, intact. And make sure that it was still safe for everyone around. But I did love and you can go back through, there's some initiative that archived all that stuff. And you can look through and see where people were actually genuinely good people. But there was the stuff of like, why can't Metroid crawl, obviously. But there were people who said like, hey, what am I supposed to do here? And you'd have people genuinely helping people out with video game help. You would have people sharing cool moments. Like, there's stuff now that, like, I will take screenshots of stuff on Switch as I'm playing it because it's there, but I'm not posting it to Twitter. I'm not posting it. Like, so occasionally I look through and see my SD card's almost full. I look at all the screenshots and go, do I need that? Do I need that? That's my sharing. I just share with myself in the future stuff that I'm going to have to delete. And that sucks.
Like, there are good communities out there that aren't moderated hard. Like, as much as the FromSoft community is very much like get good, when you actually dive into those boards and ask for help, like, you can get the help you need, or like, you get pointed in the right direction, whether like the full spoiler, like, armor set you need for a specific fight or anything like that. And another thing they could borrow from Xbox, and I've never used it personally on Xbox, but I know a friend of mine I play Call of Duty with has used it in the past to find games, like those groups of players looking for games like to play together.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Why can't you do that on Switch? Like, right now, finding matches in Mario Tennis Aces is like hit or miss. Why can't I go to like that channel, see who's trying to play actively, and maybe hook up, play a match, and they're on the same skill base, like play like 5 matches against you, like just whatever, like. There are some Nintendo games that I think could use a feature like that badly, like their multiplayer stuff. Especially, like, think of Splatoon, because you can't play it with your friends, so you may as well get a squad of 4.
Yeah, it's hard to link up in any of that. I'm curious how a new Switch would address that, or an update to this one, because that's the thing that I remember from the 3DS is like 3DS didn't have folders for a long time. And what you ended up with was a Thursday morning, you woke up, there was an update for 3DS, there's folders. There was no fanfare, there was no announcement that, hey, in an upcoming operating system update, we're looking forward to doing this. It was literally just wake up like, oh my gosh, there's folders now. So that very well could happen on the Switch, but like, is it? Will it?
I don't know. I did almost go total asshole and just say themes channel without any thought to it.
I like that idea too. I came up with an answer while we were talking, and I think Nintendo's very good at holding on to ideas to bring them back, right? So they never let anything go. And I think that something they could tap back into is the BS Zelda and the Satellaview stuff that they did back in the mid 90s, where it was Japan only, but you would hook your console up, you would get an exclusive version of the one, like the BS Zelda is straight up original Zelda, but with 16-bit graphics. It's a weird game. And I think that kind of stuff, where if they could release stuff temporarily, going back to our how do we fix Payday 3, right? Like that kind of like you had to be there thing. And you do this over, think about how like Splatfest works. Because Splatfest is just the modern day everybody votes channel. Right?
Yeah.
But if you have something like that idea of like bringing people together for this one thing, I think that's what I loved so much about Check Me Out and Everybody Votes, is that you felt like you were a part of something, and it was neat to see how everyone else would, right? Like Everybody Votes, it was like, what's better, dogs or cats? And you look and you're like, 75 people said cats suck.
Okay, I was going to say, well, Pearl didn't vote for this one, so.
Right, yeah. Then you've got the whole extra part. But I think something like that, where maybe you get a game that everyone gets to play. It's Kojima's ultimate dream, right? Maybe this is a spot where there's an internal dev team at Nintendo that gets to exercise its creativity with weird little small projects. So it's prototype style things. Like, can you imagine, this would probably suck, but like, if Box Boy just got released on that for a weekend, right? Or it was just playable through that. Something like Super Mario Brothers 35 is probably close to that, right? Like where they put it out just for Switch Online members and then take it away in 6 months. Like, that would be rad. If you had a Game of the Month club, it's on there, everybody's playing it, you can post and share screenshots, share tips and secrets and whatever, and then it's gone. I think that
it's weird. It would be like a PlayStation Plus perk, or like, you know, an Xbox Live perk when you get the free game of the month, and if you don't play them, it's gone.
Boy,
except it's like a trial run, which would work. That's fine. I'm all for if I got a free game. Like, I'm subscribed to so many of those services now. Like, it gets overwhelming just to go and claim everything. Half the time I don't even do it anymore. But like, if I saw something interesting pop up for that month, I will play it. And if I really did like it, do what Game Pass does, like discount it just like 10%.
Yeah.
And let me buy it.
Well, I think that's the thing with see, you're going with the perm. I want it to be gone. I want it to be you could only play this now. But that's like the Playdate when that thing comes out, the little handheld with the crank. That's how they're doing the release model. There's going to be a game up front, but when you buy it, you're bought into a year's worth of subscriptions for it. So new games are going to be released, and then everybody's going to be playing the same thing at the same time. And I think that is exciting about this, because like we have the NES and Super NES collections on there now, but they're those games you can play. You know what I mean? Like I want a new experience only found here, so that in 10 years we can all be really mad that digital storefronts suck and everything shuts down. But don't you remember this? But the same way that we can't access any of that Everybody Votes or Check Me Out, give me something that I can never have again. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't care.
I don't know what to call it though. I have to think about that.
The Check This Game Out channel. I don't know. That's
check
more the demo. That's more
check my
like
check. You can check. You can check this game. Go away game. Going, gone. Gaming, gone. Game over. It's called Game Over.
There you go.
And then yep. It needs to be generic
channel.
like that.
Game Over channel.
Mitomo 2.
Can we get some music on the fucking Switch UI?
Oh, boy. You still have your 2DS, right?
Yeah.
Just today, when you get a chance. It still has battery. I know it does. You don't have to charge it because that thing's great. Turn it on. Open the eShop. Just leave it open for a minute. And then just get mad at the Switch with me. We got our first peek at it with the little Mario thing that's been going on now for the 35th anniversary, where little Mario loads it.
Mario running. I noticed that when I was downloading Pikmin.
Yeah, but go a step further, man. Where's the 64 music playing in the background while I shop? Because I will stay in that eShop. I looked on my 3DS. I was curious. I looked at the activity log. 42 hours. That's how much time I spent in the eShop in the lifetime of having a 3DS since 2013. 42 hours and 7 minutes. That's how much time.
And that's not for loading, too. That's fairly quick, if I remember right.
Yeah. That's just me hanging out. Browsing for games over the course of 7 years.
If you would tell me that's your playtime for a PS4, I would just say, well, 20 hours of that was waiting for the next screen, and then...
Yeah, waiting to click down. I've spent more time in the eShop...
Wait.
Exactly. No, I spent more time in the eShop than I have with Xenoblade Chronicles, a massive JRPG. Anyway. Well, thank you for keeping the Switch alive with me, Matt. I was afraid that it would die, but I think with these new additions, the Miiverse channel and the Game Over channel, I think we're going to...
No, it's a Switchverse. Remember?
Switchverse channel.
I got rid of the Miiverse name. No Miis.
Sorry. I think we're going to keep this thing going. We are going to make this podcast stop going as we bring it to a close here. Of course, if you like this episode, you can find it and our other episodes on thefreecheese.com. You can tell a friend about it. You can write an email to us. podcast@thefreecheese.com is where you want to do that. If you use Twitter and you want to look at stuff that people say, you can follow @somefreecheese to get notified when new episodes hit. You can follow @MattyIce131 to, I don't know what you talk about on Twitter anymore.
I like shit now.
You can look at what Matt likes on Twitter. MattyIce131. That's it. Send us an email, podcast@thefreecheese.com. Ask us anything. Tell us what channel you would add to the Nintendo Switch. I'm going to go play my Wii U.
I'm not.
And you should too. Everyone play a Wii U.
I left that shit at the parents' house.
Well, you got to go for a drive today, my friend.
No drive.
I'll head over and pick him up. Hello, Papa and Mama Selner. I'm here to collect Matt's Wii U for delivery. He needs it. He's in desperate need of the Wii U.
Oh my god.
That is it. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener. Bye.